Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to show you my art space. So basically I used to paint in this kind of back room of my house that did not have very good lighting. It didn't have very many windows. And I used to paint on an easel, and I used to have like a little stool next to me where I kept all my paints. But I didn't really like the layout of this room. I kind of like to have everything spread out in front of me. I like to sit on the floor. And the lighting in this room also wasn't very great for taking pictures and videos. If you scroll like way back to the very beginning of my Instagram, all the pictures are like blurry and weird yellow lighting and just not very pretty pictures. So I moved to start painting in my bedroom because I have these really nice big windows on one side of my room. So I've spread out a towel on the floor, and I've got paper towels on top of that, and that is kind of where I do all of my painting. So I wanted to give you guys a little tour of that art space today, and I hope you enjoy. Okay, so let's get into the art space tour. So I actually tried to film this part sitting in front of my art space, but because there's such big windows, it's in front of a lot of windows, the lighting was really weird. Either you couldn't see me or you couldn't see the art space. So I'm just gonna film it here and include some videos on top. So basically, this is my whole setup of my art space. I have a big towel laid down, and then I've got paper towels on top of it. To the right is where I keep all of my recently finished paintings that have not been varnished yet. So I keep them in my room just so I know they haven't been varnished. And then once they've been varnished, I move them kind of into this back room in my house where it's the room that I used to paint in, and I still keep some of my old paintings and supplies in there. Behind these really large paintings in the corner is where I keep some blank canvases and also some old paintings that I've decided I'm not happy with and I would like to just paint over and give them a new life as a new painting. Also to the right of my paper towel situation is where I keep a lot of watercolors. So again, a lot of the art that is finished that I keep in this room either hasn't been varnished or hasn't been listed online or hasn't been signed. So it's in my room just to kind of remind me that something still needs to happen before it's ready to be sold. So in this pile is where I kind of keep all my watercolor to be finished items. So either they're not online or they haven't been signed, but they're all my recently finished watercolors in this pile here. And also I've got some like stickers and things that I use for packaging, these little plastic bags. And so that's kind of where I keep all of my watercolor recently finished and watercolor packaging items. Next, I have my acrylic supplies. So I have this big kind of tub where I keep all of my acrylic paints. Mainly I'm using Liquitex right now. I used to use Winsor & Newton a lot, but the craft store near my house stopped selling them. So I don't use Winsor & Newton as often, just because it's a little harder for me to find. But Liquitex and Winsor & Newton are the two main acrylic paints that I use. If you want to learn more about the art supplies that I like, you can go check out my very first video on this channel, which was about my favorite art supplies. Next, I have on top of the lid of that tub, I've got all my paints in this cup. I used to just have them laid out on the lid, but then I realized that having them in a cup, I could really see what I had a lot better. So I like keeping them in the cup now. And then all of the paint tubes that are standing up next to it are paint tubes that are almost finished, but I'm trying to get that last little drip of paint. So I'm using gravity to kind of stand them up and hope that there's still a little paint left in them, because it really sucks when you spend a lot of money on a tube of paint and it runs out and you know there's still paint in there, but it's hard to get. So that's kind of what's happening there. I'm trying to get the last little bit of paint out. I've also got my little pink sprayer. I used to not use a sprayer when I first started acrylic painting, but I realized that because acrylic paints dry way faster than oil paints, like they can dry within an hour, and even if you're painting really thin layers, they can dry really quickly. So if you're trying to spend a lot of time blending something, it's really good to just have that sprayer on hand so you can keep it wet while you're continuing to mix and work with the paint. And then I also do keep my watercolor palette over here in this area as well. I've also got this little cup where I kind of keep some random miscellaneous supplies. And then I also just have this regular plastic cup that I use for water. Also in that other plastic cup where I keep my paint mixing tools, I also keep scissors so I can cut out my greeting cards and some watercolors. I also keep a Sharpie. So that's pretty much everything on the right side of my little setup. Then in the center, obviously, I keep any paintings that I am currently working on or that have just been finished, but they still need a little bit of time to dry before I move them to the corner. I also have my little palette from Joann's. which I really like. I absolutely love it when it gets a whole lot of paint on it and then you can peel all the paint off. That is my favorite thing about having a palette. And then to the left side, I kind of keep some in progress stuff. So it's in progress watercolors, in progress acrylic paintings. So I've got a few acrylic paintings that are in that in progress corner. I have one that I finished. It was in the finished corner, but I was looking back at pictures of it and I realized that I wanted to add a little bit more detail. I thought it could use a bit more detail. So I moved it to that corner to kind of remind myself, hey, this painting still needs work. And then below it, I've got a painting that I started. I did this really fun meadow painting that you might have seen on my Instagram if you follow me, that I'm super, super proud of. And so this painting that's in the corner, I was kind of trying to make a bit of a series out of it, and I had started it, but I got quite busy with work and I just kind of stopped it, and then it went to the corner and it's been sitting there sadly waiting for me to pick it back up. So that's kind of my in progress acrylic paint corner. And then I also have some acrylic paper, which I use for paint mixing on TikTok. So yeah, that's what I've been using as my surface to mix paint on. I normally don't mix my paint before I put it on the canvas. I'm kind of bad. I normally just put my paint straight on the canvas and mix it there. And then if I do need to mix paint, I just do it in my palette. So I don't really use the palette knife and the acrylic paper very often. I only really use it for TikTok. So I also have some to be finished watercolors. So basically any watercolors in this pile are ones that I've started and haven't finished yet, or I've got a few that I finished, but I think they need a little bit more detail. So it's kind of like to remind me to go back and add detail and finishing touches. I've got a few that have been drawn out and they have the ink, they just don't have the paint on them yet. And then also on that side, I have, sorry, my dog is squeaking his toy in the background. Patches, can you stop please? Thank you. Okay, and then also on that side, I have like my planner and just some to-do list, pencil bag. And then I also have like my planner and things like that where I keep track of art that I'm working on and everything. And then one more essential that I had is my camera stand. So a lot of people have been asking me about my camera stand, how I take my time-lapse videos. Do I have like some special iPhone camera stand, you know how they do on TikTok that has the ring light and everything? I do not have that. I have this camera stand that has been in my house since I was little. It's probably really old. I don't know if you'd be able to find it. The name is Slick U5000. That's what it says on the side of it. And it's basically just a normal camera stand. It has a screw at the top, so you can screw in your like actual camera. Like I can screw on my Canon camera to the top of it. It's not meant for iPhones. However, I have this really great high-tech scrunchy contraption on the top of my camera stand, and that's how I kind of tie my phone to the camera stand to take time lapses. So it's very high-tech, and that's what I use to film all of my time lapses, all of my videos, except for this one. This one I have a small little iPhone camera stand, and I've got it balanced up on a chair in front of me. But yeah, that is pretty much my art space. It's pretty small, but I'm a pretty organized person, pretty neat. I don't really get paint everywhere. I'm not splattering paint or anything dramatic like that. So that's why it really does work that I have it in my room, because I don't really make a mess. I've never gotten paint anywhere in my room. I normally don't get it on my clothes, so I'm pretty neat, and that's why having it in my room works well for me. And then I also have a towel and many layers of paper towels so that paint will not leak through my carpet. That would be an absolute tragedy if I picked up my towel and there was paint all over the carpet. So yeah, so I'm pretty neat, and that's why it works out in my room. And then also I do have those really big windows, which are amazing for lighting and taking videos while I'm painting. So yeah, that is my art space. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys found that interesting or informative. If you're looking for a new space to set up your art stuff or a way to organize, this is how I kind of keep all my stuff organized. If you're interested in purchasing any of my artwork, I'll link my Etsy down below. And if you're interested in seeing more artwork, definitely follow my Instagram, which I'll also link below. And you can check out my website, which has a blog where I release more kind of behind the scenes content. And then there's also a form if you want to commission any artwork on my website. And if you enjoyed this video, definitely like it, please. And if you want to see more videos, definitely subscribe, and have a great day.